Hey guys, my name is Cameron Sims, and today I'll be doing my author talk. Now, my author is the Miss Mary Flannery O'Connor. When I say that name, it doesn't really trigger any memories of books you probably read. Well, not me, of course. Authors such as Edgar Allan Poe, or Stephen King, or Nathan Hawthorne. Those are names that we kind of talked about in class or in previous years in high school. Such as like the Scarlet Letter. A lot of people are reading that, and that's when we get introduced to Nathan. And a lot of people enjoyed that book, but I feel like with this author talk and with this research paper, we are able to kind of broaden our horizons on literature. We don't need to read the same 4 or 5 authors. We need to kind of expand that horizon so we can kind of see the different type of writing styles. Now, my author, like I said, Miss O'Connor, she was born on March 25th, 1925, in Savannah, Georgia. Now, the thing about her upbringing, her parents raised her to be a Catholic, a hardcore Catholic. And like she came from a long line of ministers and really religious people. And her in her writing, she still had those beliefs and she still wrote about it, but she had like a Mark Twain take on things. She was very humorous in her writing. Very, she had a lot of literal irony. Her books were fun. She wrote short stories, so it wasn't like really big novels. Um, when she went to college, she went to University of Iowa. My bad, Iowa, and there she had many jobs of being an editor. She was an editor for a very popular school magazine such as the Corinthian, and there that's where people kind of got to know her, like from a statewide or college wide. That's when she wrote poems and wrote articles. Um, Her first book, and if I look over here, I'm just looking at my notes. Her first published book was the Geranium in 1946, and from there she began to write more and more. Now, my personal favorite, as I was doing my research, was her book. Her short story was "A Good Man's Hard to Find." Now, I'm not gonna really want to spoil the book for anybody who wants to go and look at it after this. But summary, we meet a lot of different characters. We meet a grandmother, a serial killer that believes he's innocent, and though from those two characters, that's kind of like drawing me in. Like, a serial killer, and a grandma. You feel me? But from there, I'm gonna read an excerpt from it, and this is a really, really short quote, but it was like, she would have been a good woman, the misfit said, if it had been somebody there to shoot her every minute of her life. Now, when you read that, it's kind of like, oh, people shooting up grandmas. It's kind of like, what type of books did she write? She, like I said, she did write short stories, but the genre that she kind of did was Southern Gothic style. Now, doing some more research on that, it was kind of like a spin of what Edgar Allan Poe did. That's like the best comparison I can do or think of right now. Her stories were very religious or had religious backgrounds or themes, but like I said, it was very humorous. We had a lot of jokes or a lot of ironic things that happen in the story. Like, I guess I just go ahead and spoil it for you. In this story, the misfit ends up killing the grandma, which is kind of crazy. As a Christian, as a Catholic, you wouldn't really think someone would put that in their books, but for her, the misfit battled an internal battle. He was trying to figure out who he wanted to be in life. You had people kind of accusing him for killing his father, and it's just a gripping story. But in the end, the grandmother, who was also a classy lady, she was also a manipulator because those two characteristics kind of contradict themselves. But from there, you see that you really need to delve into those short stories. We need to delve into those other authors to really get an understanding of how their life works. Now, unfortunately, Miss Mary Flannery O'Connor died on August 3rd, 1964, to lupus. Now, the most ironic thing about it is her father died from lupus, so that disease was also was transferred to her from birth. So when we look at it, Miss O'Connor was a very underrated author for her time. In my opinion, she was ahead of her time. The way that she wrote and developed her characters and her stories, although they were short, um, you really didn't see that during the her time period, the 20th century. Although you had people like Stephen King who wrote amazing books, but these are people that went under the radar. She really went under the radar.